Good morning. New unit, proportional relationships. Student handout number 1, ratios and rates. So we talked a little bit yesterday about ratio and rates, kind of introductory. You got to drink my very tasty Kool-Aid. But today, let's actually get started on the notes. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers. It can be it can be written 3 different ways. The order in which you write the ratio is super important. All right. So it tells us to use the pictures below to practice writing ratios. So let's write some ratios. First of all, it says teeth to no teeth. So we need to find the ones that have teeth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 have teeth. All right. And how many do not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 do not. So the ratio is 9 to 15. That is one way to write it with those little semicolon looking majiggers. Another way to write it is 9 to 15. And the other way to write it is 9 over 15. And it does matter. If you would have wrote 15 over 9, that would have meant 15 teeth over 9 no teeth. Okay? But it's 9 over 15. Now, I wouldn't have accepted that answer if it was on the test, though, because it's not in simplest form. Because 9 over 15 will simplify into what? 3 over 5. So it could have been that. You could have wrote 3 to 5. Or you could have written 3 over 5. All right, next we have smiles to total. You count the smiles and the total, and let's see if we get the same thing. I count 4 smiles, and I count 24 total. So 4 24ths. But that's not the answer, because 4 24ths can simplify, because 4 will go into both of those, and it becomes 1/6. You could have wrote 1/2/6, or you could have written 1.6. Either of those. Big eyes to teeth. Go ahead and try to count how many big eyes we got. $12. The teeth was 9, no teeth was 15. Just so we have these numbers. Smiles equals 4. Big eyes. Oops. How many big eyes do we have? 12. All right, so what is big eyes to no teeth? It was 12 to 15. Right? Is there 12 big eyes? Oh, no teeth was. How many teeth did we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. Big eyes to teeth. Teeth was 9. So it should have been 12 over 9. That will simplify into 4 over 3. Also, it would be 4, 2, 3. I will zoom in so you can get those. So big eyes to teeth is 4 over 3 or 4, 2, 3 or 4 dot dot 3. All right, so now let's do smiles. We already know smiles was 4. Tongue, how many tongues do I see? 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like I see 4. So the ratio is 4 to 4, which is the same as 1 to 1, 1 dot dot 1, or 1 over 1. Any of those 3 would work. The original was 4 to 4, but 4 to 4 will simplify into 1 over 1. All right, now let's go tongue to total. Well, we know there are 4 tongues. We know the total was 24 because we've already counted them. And we know that will simplify into 1/6. So 1/6, 1 dot dot 6, and 1 to 6. How do I know which number to put first? Well, which one does it ask for first? That's the one you put first. All right, angry to smiles. We don't know how many angries yet. We ain't had that one yet, so let's figure that one out. How many angries do we have? Let's count. All right, I'm going to do these in green. I'm going to color them up in green. All right, here we go. Oh, boy. He looks mad. 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 He looks angry like he's yelling. He looks like he's PO'd. He looks mad. He looks mad. He looks mad. I missed one. That's 10, 11, 12. All right. So I've got 12 angries. Angries to smiles is 12 to 4. That will simplify. Both will go into 4, so it simplifies into 3 over 1. And then it goes 3 dot dot 1 and 3 to 1. Smiley faces to angry faces. Or smiley, silly face to angry face. So how many silly faces do we have? Because I don't have that one yet. Silly, 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 because he's rolling his eyes at me, sticking his tongue out at me, rolling his eyes. He's got one tooth, and he's rolling his eyes. And so I have 12 of those. So what is the silly face to angry face? 12 to 12. Well, don't just say 12 to 12 because they'll actually simplify into 1 to 1, 1 over 1, and 1 to 1. Tiny eyes to no smile. We don't have either one of those. But let's count them. No smile. We know how many smiles there are. There are 4. Okay, so that means there's 20 no smiles. Because there's 4 smileys. So that means tiny eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 small eyes, tiny eyes. And then no smiles was 20, right? Tiny eyes is actually 10. These aren't supposed to be tiny eyes, the ones I just erased. All right, so tiny eyes was 10, no smile was 20. Those will simplify. Both will go into 2, and you get 5 over 10. They'll simplify even more. 5 will go into both of those, and you end up with 2 tenths. Well, that'll go even more. And you end up with, oh, that's 5, 2. Hang on. Check that. Coach Barman's a doofus. It's 2/4. Both of those will go into 2, and you end up with 1/2. Sorry about that. All right, moving on. Rate. A rate is a specific comparison of 2 quantities with different units. So they're not alike. So something that's very common that we use is this thing called MPH, right? And that's called miles per hour. That's a very common one. Another one that we use quite often is MPG, which will mean a lot to you when you get 16. And that is miles per gallon. Another one that we use in America is feet per second, because there are 2 different types of units of measure. Another one that we use at the grocery store is dollars per ounce, or dollars just per unit. The unit could be whatever else. I'm going to zoom out and let you get those, and I'll get a drink of water. All right. Hunter jogs 4 miles in 30 minutes. So 4 miles, 30 minutes. Ryan jogs 7 miles in 48 minutes. What is the person's rate of speed and who jogs the fastest? Well, because we made it a rate, we can divide. we can divide 4 divided by 30. And we can figure out how many miles per minute. So if you were to get your handy dandy calculator and you were to divide 4 by 30, okay, you would get 0.13 repeating. If you were to divide 7 divided by 48, not 48 divided by 7, 7 goes first because it's on top. 7 divided by 48, you would get 0.146. Both of those are per minute. That is how far he jogs every minute. So every 1 minute he jogs 0.13 of a meter or mile. Ryan jogs 0.146. Who jogs faster? This is Ryan. This is Hunter. That's Coach Cox. That's Coach Cox right there. And this is Ryan Spartman. We're going to make that me. My name's Ryan. Who jogs faster? Coach Spartman does. Make sure you tell Coach Cox I can outrun him. So how did I get 0.146 and 0.13? I want to explain that one more time. It's to find the rates, you just divide the top by the bottom. Or you simplify it it's over 1. So I could have simplified 4 and 30 until it got down to 1 mile per minute. So how would I have done that? I would have kept dividing by 4. And got it down to a minute because I want to know per minute what is his rate of speed. Some of you are thinking, well, I could have just divided both by 4 right here. I'm about to show you in yellow, right? And I could have gotten 1 over 7.5, but that is 1 mile per 7.5 minutes. I wanted to know how many miles per minute. But you could have got them both into 1, so you could have divided this by 7. Got it to 1, and then you could have got that to 6 point something. Well, if he jogs 1 mile in 6 minutes and something, and he jogs 1 mile in 7 minutes and something, Ryan is still faster. So you could have did it either way. Or you could have just divided the top number by the bottom number. Either or. Moving to the back page. The unit rate can help us determine the better value for our money. So a 12-pack of Orange Crush, I don't like Orange Crush, but my grandfather loved Orange Crush, and he's no longer with us, and it's his favorite drink. Anyhow, a 12-pack of Orange Crush is priced at $3. A 6-pack is priced at $1.75. Which one is a better value? So we need to set up the rates. So we have $3. Okay. Cost, or 3, is $12. And on the other side, 6 is $1.75. Now, some of you see that bottom number and you go, oh, just double the 6 to make it 12 and you get double the 175. That is correct. That is one way you could do it. You can make the bottom numbers the same and then compare them. That is exactly correct. That is one way to do it. So you could have, in yellow, you could have turned this into 12, so multiplied both sides by 12, or 2, and you would have gotten 350. So which one was a better deal? Well, I can go ahead and tell you it was that one, right? Because you're comparing them, and the bottom number is the same. Or you could have figured out what you would have paid by can. And the way to do that is to just divide the top by the bottom on both sides. So let's do that. I'm going to go 3 divided by 12, and I'm going to get 0.25. That's how much it cost per can of soda. On the other one, I would have divided 1.75 divided by 6, and I would have gotten 0.2916 repeating. So it would have just been 29 cents, right? So over here it would have been 29 cents. Over here it would have been 25 cents. Which one is the better deal? 25 cents is obviously the better deal. So that is the two different ways to do it. But they want you to figure out the per unit price. The unit rate means to divide. Unit rate, so I do need you to write this, divide. All right. When two ratios are equal, that's the word equal, they can be referred to as proportional. When two ratios are equal, they can be referred to as proportional. Ways to solve proportions, scaling and cross multiplication. So let's talk about that. First of all, let's read the question. A small university enrolls in-state and out-of-state students. The number of students enrolled in the most recent freshman class was 243. Freshman, 243. That looks important. The school reported that it enrolled 7 in-state for every 2 out-of-states. Those look important. How many of each type of students was enrolled in the freshman class? So let's go through what I know. I know that the total students was 243. I also know that in-state was 7 and out-of-state was 2. Those are the 3 things I know. Totals 243, in-state 7, out-of-state was 2. That's not how many kids, that was the ratio. So go ahead and put a line under there so you kind of know. Ratio. What do we need to know? We need to know how many of each type of student was enrolled in the freshman class. So we need to know the total amount of in-state and the total amount of out-of-state. Okay? All right. So the way that we're going to solve this is in-state students. Let's figure out how many of those first. We know that there were 7 in-state students, right? Out of every 9. How did I get that? In yellow, what is 7 plus 2? 9. So out of 9 total students, 7 were in-state. Now, we could go and we could say, okay, this is the total. 9, 7 out of 9 is in-state. 243 is the total. So 9 is the total out of the 7 out of 9, and this is the total amount of students. We need to know how many in-state students there are total, so we're missing that part right there. So how do we find it? Basically, guys, this is the simplified version of that, because this is total students. This is in-state. What is this? In-state. What is the 9? Total. So 7 out of 9 are in-state. So that's the simplest form. So how do you think we would find that? I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to process, and then we'll... All right, one way is to figure out what 9 multiplied to get 243. Because it's just simplified. So 243 divided by 9. They multiplied this by 27 to get that. So what do you think we need to do at the top? Multiply it by 27. So 27 times 7 is 189. So 189 out of the total 243 students were in-state. So 189 in-state students. Now, if I know the in-state students and I know the total, can I not subtract to get the out-of-state? I sure can, but let's not talk about the out-of-state just yet. Let's talk about another way to do this. So we are comparing unit rates here, and one way that we can do that is this thing called the butterfly. We don't know that value, so we're going to put an X there. Now we're going to multiply. Watch this. Just watch. Don't that look like a butterfly? It does. So now watch this, guys. 9 times X is 9X. You're multiplying the butterfly, so you're multiplying that side first, and then you're going to multiply those two numbers. Then you're going to multiply 7 times 243. That's a big old number. 17,001. Big number. Now you're going to divide by 9. Going to solve for X just like you have been. 1,701. So divided by 9 is 189. Is that not the same answer you got? It is. Look at there. Now let me rewrite that and kind of go over that one more time. 7 over 9 equals, because it's the same thing as 243, X over 243. Because these are both in-state students up top. So they represent the same thing. So we're comparing the same thing. The bottom represents total. So they are representing the same thing. So we can compare those by using an equal sign. And when we do that, we can do this thing called the butterfly. Okay, which you've probably heard before. That's where you multiply those two, and then you multiply those two just like I showed you. So let's go do out of state. We know there are 2 out-of-state students for every 9 students. We also know there are 243 total, and we don't know how many out-of-state. So what is one way we could do that? We could see what they multiplied 9 to get 243, or we could do the butterfly. Watch. 9 times X is 9X. 2 times 243 is 486. 9 divided by 486 is 54. So there are 54 out-of-state students. All right, that's all she wrote for today. I'll see you on the flip side. Adios, amigos.